Mike Flanagan is the king of the world. Let's do it. So this movie time jumps a lot between the present and 11 years prior, but basically it's about these two siblings, Kaylee and Tim. In present day, Tim is 21 years old and he is being discharged from a psychiatric hospital where he has been since he was a kid for murdering his father after his father murdered their mother. 11 years prior, we see that Tim and Kaylee were kids and they moved into a new house with their father, Alan, and their mother. And Alan purchased this antique mirror to put up as decoration in his office. Now, we, of course, as an audience, quickly learn that the mirror is cursed. And in present day, we see an adult Kaylee purchase the mirror at an auction. So Tim, again, was discharged from the hospital, and he reunites with Kaylee, and the two of them go back to the family home, which Kaylee still owns, but is unoccupied. So Kaylee brings the mirror into the house and sets up, like, a kill switch for it. And basically, she has this huge blade, like, anchored off the wall, ready to crash into the mirror and kill it, essentially. So she's documenting everything. She's going over all the people who owned the mirror previously who also died. Meanwhile, Tim thinks she's crazy because while he was hospitalized for the past 11 years, he has learned to believe that there was no supernatural events that caused him to kill his father. So he now doesn't believe Kaylee about the mirror and doesn't believe the experiences that they had when they were kids. We keep getting flashbacks throughout, and we learn that Alan was becoming increasingly more psychotic and delusional, as is their mother, and they're both having these hallucinations. Alan starts to see this creepy, demonic woman. Once again, in present time, Tim's like, Kaylee, you're crazy. There's nothing wrong with the mirror. Dad just snapped and killed mom. But then Kaylee captures something on camera that makes him believe, because she basically proves that they hallucinated and they didn't remember doing something that was caught on camera. Through flashbacks, we see that the mirror drove their mother insane, and one night she tried to kill Tim and Kaylee. Alan locks her away, but is also under the influence of the mirror. The kids try to get a neighbor, but he doesn't believe them, and then they try to call 911, but it's the same voice answering every time. And the voice just keeps saying, we need to speak to your father. Super fucking creepy. In present day, Tim and Kaylee's hallucinations are also increasingly growing. In this one disgusting scene, Kaylee goes to bite into an apple. It ends up being a light bulb, but then it ends up being an apple again. Flashbacks end up revealing what happened the night that their father killed their mother. Alan let Marie out of the locked room, and then she attempted to kill Kaylee because, again, she was under the influence of the mirror, but then she came to her senses and stopped. But when that happened, Alan shot her. Alan goes to kill Kaylee, but Tim ends up grabbing the gun. Alan, like the mother, has a moment of clarity and goes to stop and forces Tim to shoot him. And that's why Tim is then taken to a psychiatric hospital. Present day, the hallucinations continue, and Kaylee has a hallucination of her mother and goes to stab her in the throat as she attacks her. And it ends up being her fiance who came to check on her. And she fucking kills him. Tim and Kaylee try to call the police, but they get the same voice that they got when they called the police the night when they were kids. So they run outside, they look back in the house where the mirror is, and they see themselves. Mind you, this and the flashbacks of that night are happening like in tandem with each other. So adult Tim and Kaylee are watching kid Tim and Kaylee relive the whole experience. Kaylee, through child Kaylee's eyes, sees an image of their mother in the mirror and goes to her. Meanwhile, Tim sees himself as alone in the room with the mirror. So he decides it's time to end things, and he goes to hit that kill switch to release that blade. And when he does, he snaps out of his hallucination and sees that Kaylee was standing directly in front of it. The cops arrive and see that Tim killed Kaylee and don't believe him that the mirror did it. And we see him taken away by the police, swearing that it was the mirror just like he did it.